If you were an axe murderer, I would have known after the first drink. And, I'm still on the fence, but I think you're okay. So that's good.
Oh, there are things I haven't told you.
What you heard here is something that's coming up later in this episode when I met a fellow traveler and we go on a hike together.
Agreement, you keep this in the car. You have to return the car in full. The car is full from fuel.
But first, I need to get a rental car. Shortly after I landed in Larnaca International Airport.
That's the one.
Having a car is the best and most flexible way of getting around this island.
And the return is the same place. It's here as well.
The car I got is small, but so was the price. I only paid around $25, 23 euros per day. And soon, I was on my way.
I've arrived to Cyprus. I just got my rental car. It's a small Ford Fiesta, and I have, 3 hours ahead of me, driving to the other side of the island. But it's a small island, so I'm really looking forward to exploring what Cyprus has to offer. I've never been here before. My name is Paphos. This is the Radio Vagabond. Welcome to Cyprus.
This is the Radio Vagabond.
As I'm starting my time in Cyprus with a drive to the western part of the island, let's have some facts about Cyprus. First, let me remind you that the Radio Vagabond is supported in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website where you can find the best prices on hotel rooms, hostels, apartments, and guest houses. And now you can also search flights and find the best prices on a way to get there. Hotels25.com.
And now, facts about where we are.
Cyprus is located in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, south of Turkey and west of Syria and Lebanon. It's strategically positioned at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa.
How big and how many people?
The island is pretty big, 9,251 square kilometers, 3,572 square miles, which makes it the third largest island in the Mediterranean. Around 1.2 million people live here.
Official languages.
The main languages are Greek and Turkish, but almost everyone speaks English, especially in places where tourists go. Kids start learning English early in school, so most people can chat English pretty well.
Religion.
Most people in Cyprus are Christian, following the Greek Orthodox Church. Turkish Cypriots are mostly Muslim.
The flag.
The Cyprus flag is simple. It's white with a copper outline of the island and 2 green olive branches below. It's meant to be a symbol of peace between the Greek and the Turkish communities here.
What's the typical local food?
Cypriot food is a tasty mix of Greek and Middle Eastern flavors. You got to try halloumi cheese, souvlaki and meze platters. And don't miss out on moussaka, which has layers of eggplant, meat and creamy sauce.
Famous proverb from here.
A popular Cypriot saying is, wherever there's a land, there is home. It shows how Cypriots are good at making the best of any situation and feeling at home wherever they are.
And that was facts about where we are.
One more thing, Cyprus is unique because it's actually split into 2 parts. The northern part of the island is called the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, but it's only recognized by Turkey. The southern part, where we are in this episode, is the Republic of Cyprus, which is a part of the European Union. This division happened back in 1974, following a military coup and a Turkish invasion. Today, a buffer zone called the Green Line, controlled by the UN, separate the 2 sides. Despite this division, both communities have a lot in common, culturally and historically. All this is something we'll dive deeper into in the next episode.
He's the radio vagabond, podcasting his way across continents and cultures, man, he's got it made.
My first stop, where I'll be spending the first 2 days, is Paphos, a fascinating city on the southwestern coast of Cyprus, known for its rich history and stunning natural beauty. It's a place where you can find ancient ruins right next to modern resorts, making it a unique blend of old and new. Historically, Paphos is famous as the birthplace of Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love and beauty. You'll see references to her all over the city, especially at the Aphrodite Rock, a beautiful seaside spot that's said to be where she emerged from the sea. The city is also known to some incredible archaeological sites that have earned them a spot on the UNESCO World Heritage List. The Paphos Archaeological Park includes amazing mosaics in the house of Dionysus, Theseus, and Ion, well-preserved ruins from ancient times, and even an ancient theater still used today for performances. Besides the historical sites, Paphos has a lively harbor area with cafes, restaurants, and bars where you can relax and enjoy the view of the sea. It's also a gateway to exploring the natural wonders of the Akamas Peninsula, known for its hiking trails and wildlife. Overall, Paphos offers a great mix of history, culture, and natural beauty, making it a must-visit spot for anyone traveling to Cyprus.
I'm back in the Ford Fiesta with a manual transmission and driving to my next spot. I stayed a few days in Paphos, and it's on the western shore in the southwesternmost corner of the island, and I stayed there for a couple of days, and it was nice. And now I am going for something completely different. I booked a place in the middle of the mountains. It's still on the western half of the island, but it's on Mount Olympus, high up in the mountains. And what I've seen in the pictures is I've got an amazing view. The small town is called Paphos, and before going there, I'm still on my way, I went up the coast to a place where there's a shipwreck. The ship is a yellow, old, rusty ship that hit ground not that long ago, and it's kind of sideways, very close to the coastline, so you can get a good view of it, and it's something that they decided not to remove. They just abandoned it there, and it's become a bit of a tourist attraction. The ship is called Oniro, and if you look on Google Maps, just north of Paphos, it's called Oniro By The Sea. And yeah, interesting to see a big ship like that just sitting there in the ocean.
Well, what I said was not 100% true. I talked about visiting the shipwreck called Oniro By The Sea, but actually that's the name of the cool bar and restaurant nearby, not the shipwreck. The real name of the ship is Edro III. The ship had a tough time back in December 2011. It was traveling from Limassol to Rhodes with a bunch of plasterboards when a big storm and some mechanical problems made it drift off course and end up stuck on the rocky coast near Paphos. Instead of hauling it away, the locals thought, hey, this could actually be pretty interesting. And they were right. People started coming just to see this shipwreck, sitting there all dramatic against the sea and rock. So they left it there, and now it's a major draw. Right next to this impressive site, there's the restaurant I mentioned, and that's called Oniro By The Sea. Oniro means dream in Greek, and it is a dreamy spot. They serve food and drinks with a view that's pretty hard to beat, looking right out at this big old shipwreck. So they turned a bit of disaster into a hotspot for visitors.
And from there, I was looking on Google Maps on how to get to the place, and it suggested that I drive south and then take a big detour, and I could see that, well, there is a road in the mountains, sort of just climbing into the mountains directly. And I decided to bypass Google Map and find a different route going into the mountains. I come from a country that's super flat, and for some reason I enjoy these little twists and turns and driving in the mountains and getting a good view. It takes a bit longer, but now that I'm driving here, it's well worth the extra time because I'm not in a hurry, and the road here, everything in this little car with a manual transmission, it happens in the second or the third gear and maximum of 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. But wow, it's so beautiful. So if you are going to see the shipwreck and then heading up into Mount Olympus in that area, do the mountain road because it is a stunning drive. I'm going to be staying up there in Pedolas for 3 nights, and I am so looking forward to that.
Travel is possible at any age. Your sense of adventure is just over the horizon. So, reach out and grab it. This is The Radio Vagabond.
Gotta keep moving.
I am not Morgan Freeman.
In Cyprus, I met Cindy Shearan from Denver, Colorado. She's also a full-time traveler, backpacking through the world, mostly solo. We're around the same age and know each other from the nomad community after we were both speakers at the same online conference, Digital Nomads Beyond 50, during the pandemic. But this is the first time we meet in person, when we just happen to be in Cyprus at the same time.
I am in Cyprus, and as it says here on the sign in Greek letters, I'm on my way up the Caledonian Trail. I'm with Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Good morning.
Yeah, and we are going on a hike. So I just thought I'd say a few words before I lose my breath completely, because it says here on the sign, the route is constantly uphill.
The very first sentence of
That is the first sentence, but 2/3 up the hill we're going to get to Caledonian Fall, which falls dramatically from a height of 13 meters. Wow. Yeah. Let's just take it slow, okay?
Absolutely. It's no rush. I am not a good uphill hiker. I was like, fuck, I gotta go uphill. God damn.
The worst thing is when I'm in a group where there's a bunch of young people and they go really fast.
I need to shoot them. I did a climb with my kids for my 50th birthday, and one of the kids showed up in flip-flops. I was like, fuck you. And here's me. We have these mountains in Colorado called 14ers, and they're 14,000 feet elevation or better. Yeah. And so we did and it's like everybody in Colorado does these 14ers, and you can kind of check them off. There's, 60 of them.
14ers?
Yeah. So 14,000 feet elevation. I mean, they start at 9, but still. And so, we did one for my birthday, and it was brutal. Yeah. But some of the kids were running up like, elk, a deer, mountain goats. Yeah.
I did a hike in Rwanda, and we came to some small villages where there were a bunch of little kids, all in flip-flops, and they just thought it was funny that we were there, and they ran along us much faster, all in flip-flops. Yeah. It's so annoying.
It is so annoying. Yeah. Yeah, and you're in like $180 mountain boots. I'll tell you what, though, the trekking poles are the answer.
Yeah, I had that when we did the thing in Uganda to go see the gorillas. But it was not trekking boots. It was shoes even less suitable than these I'm wearing today, and they had absolutely no pattern. Oh. And it'd been raining.
Oh, great.
So after a little bit, it was mud under them. So they were so slippery, and I kept falling all the time, even though I had the poles. So,
wow. I'm always, like, if I hike with a group, I am 95% of the time the last person. I can go, like I've done the Camino, I can walk. I've done some amazing hike in Ireland that was like 12 days. But uphill, I'm just like crabbing and bitching and whinging and whining.
So you did the Camino in Spain?
I did the Camino from Porto.
Okay.
So it's 225 kilometers.
Yeah. So not the 800 going...
Not the one from France.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop recording because now I'm getting out of breath.
Okay, I didn't know you were recording earlier. Good thing I didn't drop an F-bomb.
The Caledonian Falls Trail in Cyprus is a great choice if you like a good uphill hike. Starting from the village of Paphos, this 3-kilometer trail will definitely work your legs as it goes up all the way. As we hike, we're surrounded by thick pine tree forest and the sound of a stream nearby, which makes it feel peaceful even though we're sweating a bit. The air is fresh and cool, which is really nice, especially as we get higher. When we reached the top, we found the Caledonian Falls, and it's such a cool spot. The waterfall is pretty high, and it pours down into a clear pool below. It's a perfect place to chill for a while, take some photos, and just enjoy being out in nature.
We made it up here. It wasn't that bad.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was when we saw a sign at the bottom or far down where it said 2.5 kilometers, and then we saw one saying 2 kilometers. And I thought, okay, we're not even halfway yet. And then here we are. It was just right after that. So it's like 13 meters falling down.
All the way, but it was okay, don't you think?
It was fine.
Yeah.
Because we took a lot of breaks. So yeah, it's very nice.
The beginning was the hardest part, just kind of getting started out of the gate. But
yeah,
then
and I thought it would be freezing cold up here because I saw snow yesterday driving, but there's no snow here, and it's actually not that cold. Yeah.
And the sky is getting blue. Yeah. Awesome.
It's so noisy.
I know, what the heck?
Yeah.
Hiking with my friend Cindy was fun. Getting to the waterfall felt like a big win after the climb. Yeah, I know, it was only 3 kilometers. So if you're up for a bit of a challenge and want to check out some beautiful spots in Cyprus, you should definitely give this trail a go. It's totally worth it.
He's the radio vagabond with tales at every face, charting maps, unknowing man, he's got it made, he's got it made. These vagabond shoes, they're blazing his crusade. Every step, every story, gotta keep moving.
So now we're slowly making our way down the hike here, and left the waterfall behind, and sitting on a bench. There's still a water stream here. It's nice.
It's really nice.
So Cindy, we know each other, but only barely, because we were on the same webinar.
We were both keynote speakers, maybe, would you say? Some kind of speakers on a digital
online keynote speakers.
Yeah, online keynote speakers. Me from my camper van, and you, where were you?
I was in El Salvador at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a summit for digital nomads beyond 50.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're just barely beyond 50.
Barely, just by a hair.
Yeah. But and then I came here, and you made a comment on my Facebook page that I was here, and then we said let's go for a drink, and here we are, and now we are doing a hike, and it's so great to meet another traveler, because you are kind of like me. Tell me your story.
Oh gosh, my story. I'll just skip ahead. I'll start at the divorce, because that's when it started getting interesting and fun anyway.
You only had one?
Only one divorce, yeah, so far. Yeah, after raising 4 kids and being married for 30 years, I just decided enough was enough, and it was my turn. And so, long story short, I quit my job, left my husband, said goodbye to my kids, packed a backpack, and took off, and started solo traveling in 2017.
Yeah. It's kind of the same as my story, because my kids moved out of the house, and I'm thinking, okay, now it's my window.
Right.
None of my kids have kids of their own, and when they do, I probably want to be back and a part of that. And you had kind of the same idea.
I had a little bit of a surprise. I was having lunch with my son and his new girlfriend to meet her, and I was heading out the door in like 2 weeks, and they said, oh, hey, so guess what? We're having a baby. So...
Yeah, but they said, you go.
Oh, yeah, they said, of course, go. I mean, they weren't asking me to stay, and I kind of struggled with it for a hot minute, but I was like, yeah, no, see ya. So I took off. He was born when I was in Bali, so, you know, I got to meet him online and see him, and then I was home in a couple months, and, of course, you know, went to see him and visit and everything, so... I think it's been great. I mean, I would like to see him more. I'd like to see my kids more, too, but... What I have realized is when I am home in Denver, they're busy. You know, they're camping, they're going to festivals, they're working, they have significant others. They're
and you really can do a lot online. Yeah. Anything but giving a hug yeah. But with my kids, I speak to them on a daily basis.
Do you? I get texts from. Especially the youngest. But I think what's nice is when I am home, I'm home intentionally, and we make solid plans to do things. And so there's brunch, there's dinner, there's movie night, there's sleepovers, there's shopping days, there's hikes. I think if I lived there, it would sort of be the assumption that, oh, I can see you next week, and oh, maybe we should get together. So because I'm only home for maybe 6 weeks at a time, they know they need to see me because I'm halfway out the door again. So I think it's been okay.
Yeah.
You know.
And that was in 2017, so kind of a year after me. But you've been traveling full time ever since.
Yeah, I have. I do go back, of course, to see them, but I usually just pop in for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and then I take off for the next trip. During COVID, I bought a camper van, and I did the West Coast one summer and the East Coast the next summer, and then I just said, oh, forget this nonsense, and so I hopped on a plane and went to Mexico and Colombia, and so I think I've been to 7 or 8 countries during this COVID time, and it's been fine.
Yeah. And I think we actually just realized that we were in Medellin, Colombia at the same time.
Yes, how funny is that?
So
We could have passed each other on the street and had no idea.
Yeah.
That's why I love social media. I would never know that you were here except you said, I'm leaving Budapest and I'm on my way to Cyprus. And I was like, oh, I'm in Cyprus.
Yeah, and also the thing about saying yes if a person suggests let's go for a cup of coffee or...
Oh, God, yeah. You know, if you were an axe murderer, I would have known after the first drink and... You know, I mean, I'm still on the fence, but I think you're okay, so that's good.
Oh, there are things I haven't told you. But you've been to 6 continents.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's time to go back to Southeast Asia. A friend of mine just went back to Vietnam, and I'm like, oh, I want to go back. But this is my problem. I always want to go back to the places I've been because they're so amazing. So this is nice for me because Cyprus is new for me. I was in Georgia last month. That was new for me.
If you've been listening for a while, you know a thing or two about Talibot. And now, he would like to know a bit about you. So please fill out the 5-minute survey and answer a few questions. It's on theradiovagabond.com/whoareyou.
Cindy was featured in an article in the New York Times about how to find love abroad. Here she tells the story of how she met her boyfriend, Jean-Marie Mas, a 61-year-old professional tandem paraglider from France. They met in Nepal in 2018, and I've linked to the article in the notes section for this episode.
Tell me a little bit about the van life, because that's something I really want to do at some point, get a van and just drive around.
Everybody's so into it, yeah. It's pretty cool. I just published a blog post with a bunch of apps on it because you're going to need apps to find out where to stay because you don't want to have to pay for a campground parking every night because that'll start getting expensive. In the U.S., it's not as bad as I've seen in Europe. It can be very expensive.
I heard about the U.S. Walmart parking lot. That's good.
No, I tried that. Theoretically, you can park in Walmart parking lots for free, but that's not really true. So the first one I went to looked like the apocalypse had just come through, so I left because it was totally skeevy. I went to the next one, and they were having drag car races. So with a big giant boombox going on in the back of somebody's trunk, and I was like, all right, not what I expected. I just read that Cracker Barrel, which is a chain of restaurants, has started prohibiting people from parking there. And I think it's because everybody's doing #van life right now. So it's gotten to be a little bit overwhelming for these places to offer a free spot. And I think people are trashing them. So, you know, you got to keep your stuff clean. You got to clean up after yourself. And kind of, if you're going to stay in a Walmart, my suggestion is ask before you park, talk to the manager, get the person's name, because in about 2 hours you're going to get a knock on your window from the security guard asking you to move along. And if you can say, hey, I talked to John, the manager, he said it was okay, then at least you've got a little bit of, you know, a little bit of permission.
Yeah, I spoke to the Walmart greeter.
Exactly, yeah. He's dead now. He was 94. He passed away since you rolled in.
But what was in the van? Kitchen?
Oh, yeah. I've got a VW Eurovan. It's 1997. And it's got 2-burner stove and a little refrigerator. It's got 2 beds, one up top in the pop-up and one on the main floor, if you will. Lots of cabinets. Really, you can fit. I'm a backpacker, so it was like ridiculously amazing to have that much space.
Technically, you could bring a bicycle.
You could, yeah. I was looking at buying a fold-up electric bike and sticking it in there. I didn't get that far, but yeah, I started looking at that. There's no bathroom.
No.
So that's something you have to kind of get your head around, because you got to make that work and figure that out. But it was fine. Yeah, the 2 front seats spin around, so you can feel like you're sitting in the front of the van versus the back of the van. It's kind of like a Barbie house. Like, everything is kind of smart and fitted, and it serves 2 purposes, and it was pretty cool.
But that's only when you're doing North America. You're not bringing that overseas.
No, I haven't brought that overseas. I don't even know how you would do that, to be honest. I don't even know how you would ship it. It would cost a fortune.
Yeah.
Nah, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so no, I have not brought it overseas. And people keep asking me, were you in the van? I'm like, no.
No. But you could to Canada, Mexico.
I'm going to Canada in the van in June. I'm going to Banff National Park, which looks stunning.
But the way that you travel, it's obviously solo. So I kind of know what that's like. But do you ever travel in groups as well?
I've never traveled in a group. I've had people meet me along the way. I have a travel friend, Teresa, and she meets me here and there. One of my daughters met me on the West Coast. Another kid met me in Barcelona. No, I've never done I've never paid for a tour and done a group tour. Mostly because I'm too cheap, but I also like making the plans myself. And I don't know, it would be interesting just to kind of go along for the ride, so to speak. Yeah. I haven't done that. I might do that if I go to Africa, because it just looks like a pretty big trip to try to plan yourself overland without much public transportation.
Yeah. So it's nice sometimes to be in a group. I enjoy traveling alone, and because it's so flexible that I don't have to ask anybody, should I go left or right?
You can go to bed at 8:30.
I can, yeah.
You can have cereal for dinner. You can eat chocolate for breakfast.
That is right.
You can be in your pajamas all day. I've done all these things and more.
Yeah. But I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, how do you fund it? I get that question all the time.
Everybody asks that.
Yeah, obviously you got the divorce, so that's it.
I did, and that's how I started. So when I got divorced, my ex kept the house, and he had to pay me out.
Yeah, you said, keep the house.
Keep the house. I'm out of here. And what I got for my half of the equity wasn't a ton. It wasn't a lot of money, but I thought, you know what? I could live on this for maybe 3 years if I'm smart, and not in the U.S. So I headed to Southeast Asia, where you can live on $20 a day and have a blast. Yeah. So I did that, and even in Europe, it's a lot cheaper to me anyway than living in America. Yeah. And so I just keep going. In the meantime, I do own some rental property, which I've owned for the last 10 years. And that provides a steady source of income, and I rent out my own personal apartment while I'm gone too. And I rent it out fully furnished, and that pays a lot towards my expenses.
Yeah. And like me, you also stay in hostels, you do house
totally.
sitting.
Yeah. I stay in hostels. I did house sitting in an Italian villa in Tuscany. I need that one.
Talk
about that.
Oh,
it was awesome.
God.
I'll tell you about that. I reached out on Facebook one day, and a friend of mine said, yeah, you can come do house sitting at my house in Australia. And I said, oh, where are you in Australia? He said, the Sunshine Coast. I said, those are 2 really good words, sunshine and coast. When do you need me there? And so I packed a bag and went. Yeah. And he didn't even have animals or plants. He was like, just come and stay in the house. We're going to Vietnam. You might as well hang out here while we're gone. Yeah. And I had met him in a bus in Morocco. Yeah. So you just stay in touch with people and stay connected, and good things happen.
Yeah. And you are planning to see if you can get a European Schengen passport?
I'm trying to get an EU passport. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and apply for the D7 visa in Portugal, which is a retirement or non-lucrative visa. And I told you earlier, I'm a little bit concerned because you have to remain in the country for an average of 8 out of 12 months, and it's a 5-year process. And it kind of makes me nervous to be in one place for that long. So I've committed in my mind.
But then again, you don't need to stay in the same city. There are plenty of places in Portugal.
I don't know how to say it. The Azores, there's Madeira, there's all the islands off of Portugal. And I love Portugal. I just was a little bit squirrely about having to stay in one spot. So I've committed in my head for 1 year.
That would freak me out too.
I know. So I'll rent an apartment for the first year and just see what that feels like, And if I want to do the next 4, I will. And if not, I'll probably see you in Togo or somewhere. Because, yeah, I'm like a kid in a candy shop, you know. You get those emails, it's like, oh my God, look at this cheap fare to Tokyo, I want to go. And, oh my gosh, look at this, you could go to, you know, anywhere.
After we met in Cyprus, she actually did move to Portugal to pursue citizenship on a D7 residency retirement visa, and then changed her plans and moved to Italy a few months ago to apply for citizenship recognition through Ancestry, as she's got Italian roots. This is a much faster process, and she should have her Italian citizenship in the next few weeks. In total, it's just a 5-month process for her.
Gotta keep moving, gotta keep moving, gotta keep moving, gotta keep moving.
And we talked a little bit about lists, and you don't really have lists of where you really want to go, but what's on your list?
Sri Lanka is at the top. It just really intrigues me. I want to go to India. I feel like I'm ready now. I've been to Nepal twice, and so I feel like they call Nepal India.
I really need to do more India, and I need to spend a long time there.
It looks really cool.
Oh yeah, I've only been to Mumbai, and that was years ago, and I really want to get.
That looks crazy, and I want to check it out. But I think I would be more happy in a place like we are sitting right now, like in the in the forest and in nature. And I've heard India is beautiful.
Yeah, and overwhelming and colorful and noisy.
I've heard it's the absolute worst and the absolute best all at the same time.
Yeah.
So
one thing I really want to do at some point in my life is do what they call the auto rickshaw challenge. It's where you get a tuk-tuk with
I
two
want to
people.
do that. There's one in Sri Lanka. I have the link on my phone. I totally want to do that. A friend of mine that I met who lives in Tasmania, his ex-wife and daughter did it, and he said it was a blast.
Yeah.
So Teresa and I are wanting to do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
so
hilarious.
let's just explain that it's. The one that I saw is not like a race where you have to be first, but you get a tuk-tuk and then you have to go from A to B, maybe 100.
Drive the tuk-tuk yourself.
Yeah, and maybe drive 100 kilometers, and then there are some challenges from between A and B. You have to go to this point and take a selfie, or something like that.
So
and then you
fun.
meet with the rest of the group, and if it breaks down, which it probably will, you need to find someone local to help you fix it.
That's
and
hilarious that you know about that too.
Oh my
I learned
God.
about that about a year ago, and I was like, that is on that list that I don't have. That's on the list. And there's one in Sri Lanka, and I think one in India.
Yeah, one in the southern part of India.
else.
I'm sure there are a lot of them
Yeah.
around that. Yeah.
That sounds like a total blast.
Yeah, if you need a third person.
I know,
but
right?
I have met other people say, "Oh, I want to do that too. I want to do it." So let's get
Totally
a group.
stay in
And
touch.
I was speaking to my friend Cynthia from Florida, and we were talking about let's just make our own group and buy a bunch of tuk-tuks and because we can fill 15 people in 5 tuk-tuks, and then see if we can sell them after, and
know,
they're probably
right?
not that
That sounds really
expensive.
cool.
So yeah.
That would be really fun. I think that sounds like a really good adventure. I was totally up for that. That's so funny you say that. Yeah, but what else is on my list? I mean, of course I want to go to Budapest. I want to go to Prague. There's places like that I haven't made it to yet.
Both are amazing. 2 of my favorite European cities. I just came from Budapest.
I know you said that was one of your favorite, yeah. I'm not especially keen to go to Antarctica, but I wouldn't say no.
No.
I don't usually say no.
No.
You just said no.
I'd love to go. It's not really super high, and then plus the price tag is always like crazy.
Okay, I have a hack. The guy that I know from Tasmania, it's weird that it keeps coming up, that Scott told me what you do is when you're in Chile and you're in Patagonia, you walk into an office that sells the cruises to Antarctica, and they always have last minute seats available. And so you might leave tomorrow, but it's like less than half price. He said it's still expensive. It's still maybe $3,000 to $5,000, but it's better than $5,000 to $10,000. So there's your hack.
Yeah. And maybe if I'm traveling alone, it's even more easy because they just have one spot left.
Right,
Yeah.
So yeah,
Interesting.
That's what I heard.
Oh, that's the way to do it. Yeah. And if not, I'm get to see Patagonia.
Yeah,
Stay a little bit
exactly.
longer, and
That'd be amazing.
I don't have a schedule, so yeah.
Yeah, right.
that could
Yeah,
be
because if
done.
you travel like me, you don't really have a solid plan, and you kind of go with the flow. And listen to what the people in the hostels tell you is a must-do and head that way.
Very high on my list is Jamaica and Cuba, and I really want to go to Cuba before the American invasion and when it's still authentic.
It was open for a hot minute for Americans, and I don't know if it is anymore, but I love old cars too, so I would really, really love
and
that.
If I hear that you can get to drive one, you can rent them. Oh
that
my
would be
God,
fun.
that would be
I
so
do
good.
like that. Yeah, Cuba looks very amazing, and that's definitely on my list. That's not a list.
Well, Cindy, that was nice, and let's continue the walk and see you somewhere else in the world.
Absolutely. Stay in touch.
And do the tuk-tuk challenge.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
That's so funny.
I'm pretty sure I have the link on my phone.
We'll be back with more from Cyprus next Tuesday, but I have a lot more before then. On Thursday, I have a conversation with Rick Gazarian, the founder and organizer of Extraordinary Travel Festival that takes place in Bangkok in November 2024. On Friday, you'll get a flashback episode from Nepal, and on Saturday, it's all about what to see and do if you go to Bangkok. That one is a vagabond short, and you'll get that both as a podcast and as a YouTube video. And then next Tuesday, we're back right here in Cyprus. My name is Paphos, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.
Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.